All right, we're going to tackle a really important topic today, one that can be tough but is absolutely vital: suicide. We're going to explore this powerful idea that the words we choose and the way we tell stories can do more than just report on an issue. They can actually prevent harm, and yes, even save lives.
But before we go any further, let's just pause here for a second. This is a heavy topic, I know. Your safety and your well-being are the absolute priority. So if at any point this feels like too much, please just pause this explainer and reach out. The numbers for Talian Kasih are right here for you. Take care of yourself first, okay?
So let's start with the big question that drives this whole conversation. Can our words, whether it's in a news story, a post on social media, or even just a private chat, can they really make a life or death difference? Well, all the research we're about to look at points to a really hopeful answer. Yes, absolutely, they can.
To understand how, we first have to appreciate the sheer power that our words have. And this goes way beyond just being polite. We're actually talking about public health. The way we communicate can and does either create risk or it can build this kind of protective shield for people who are feeling vulnerable.
This brings us to two really powerful but opposing forces. They're called the Werther effect and the Papageno effect. The Werther effect? Well, that's the danger. It's what happens when sensational reporting with really specific details tragically leads to copycat suicides. But then there's the Papageno effect. And this is the hope. This is what happens when we focus on recovery, on coping, and on the help that's out there. That kind of communication can actually encourage people to reach out for support and prevent future tragedies. So the big question is, how do we intentionally create that protective Papageno effect? Well, that's where our source material is so incredibly valuable. We're going to break down the Suicide Content Guidelines from Malaysia. It's this amazing comprehensive guide that shows all of us how to communicate with both safety and compassion. And you know, this quote from the Malaysian guidelines just gets right to the heart of the whole mission. It says the goal is to foster a culture of thoughtful and responsible engagement. It's not just about avoiding harm. It's about actively building a culture of care, one where these tough topics get the attention and the respect they deserve. And what makes these guidelines so solid is who created them. This wasn't just one group's opinion. No, this was a huge collaboration between media folks, the Ministry of Health, academics, and, so critically, individuals with their own lived experience. That mix of expertise is what makes these guidelines so practical and so empathetic. Okay, so let's get into the practical stuff. The guidelines lay out 5 key actions that we can all take. I want you to think of this as a simple toolkit for safer communication, and it all starts with the most basic thing: the words we choose to use. So, action number 1. It's the most fundamental one: language. The specific words we pick have this immense power to either ramp up stigma or to reduce it, and that can directly affect whether or not someone feels safe enough to ask for help. This is such a simple but really profound shift. For instance, instead of saying someone committed suicide, which sounds like a crime, the guide says to use died by suicide. Instead of that jarring phrase successful suicide, we can say took their own life. Even just avoiding sensational words like suicide epidemic for more accurate language helps chip away at that stigma. These small changes, they have a huge impact. Action number 2 is just as crucial, and this one is all about what we choose not to say. Protecting people means we have to deliberately leave out any explicit details that could lead to imitation. The 2 most critical details to always leave out are the method and the specific location. The guidelines are crystal clear here. Never, ever describe how a person died by suicide, and if you have to mention a location, just be general. This helps prevent certain places from becoming known as suicide hotspots, and it removes potential triggers for a person who's in crisis. Okay, let's talk visuals. Just like our words, the images we use have tremendous power. So it's absolutely crucial to avoid any pictures that could cause harm. Photos of specific locations, of implements, or anything graphic. Instead, the guide urges us to use images that offer hope. Pictures that show resilience, people connecting with each other, diverse communities offering support. These visuals reinforce that core message of prevention and recovery. Action 4 is about the bigger picture, the story itself. The narrative shouldn't just be about tragedy. It should always be framed with hope. So what does that mean? It means focusing on how a community is responding. It means sharing stories of people who have found help, and always, always emphasizing that help is available and that suicide is preventable. This shifts the whole focus from despair to empowerment. And finally, action number 5. This one is completely non-negotiable. Every single time we create content that discusses suicide, whether it's a news report, a movie, a social media post, anything, it must include a lifeline. It is the most direct, most powerful way to connect someone who is in distress with immediate life-saving help. So, we've walked through the guidelines. Now, I want to bring it back to you. What's your role in all of this? And just as importantly, how can you take care of your own well-being when you're engaging with a topic this heavy? It is completely and totally understandable if this discussion is difficult for you. You might be feeling upset or even triggered right now, and I just want to acknowledge that directly. And that is absolutely okay. Your safety always, always comes first. So this is just a reminder to pause, to step away if you need to, and to remember that support is there for you too. Let's just put that lifeline up one more time. Talian Kasih is available at $15.99.99 or on WhatsApp at 019-261-1599. Please save this number, share it. You never know, it could make all the difference for someone. So we'll end with this thought. These guidelines, they're so much more than just a set of rules. They're really a call for all of us to practice compassion and mindfulness. So the question is, how can we in our daily lives, both online and off, make compassion our default response? Because by doing that, we don't just communicate more safely, we actually help build a world where asking for help is always, always seen as a sign of strength.